today. I think, Pam, you mentioned that you've been having conversations about looking at the short term and then sort of long term policy. Let's start with the short term. What kind of conversations are you having around that?
So I think we're all aware that the economy has kind of closed down, and that we're about to perhaps see an unemployment rate of something maybe 18% coming out next month, something around that level. The first avenue and the looking at the legislation that has passed is to get money to people who are out of work. And there's a lot of short-term issues about doing that through unemployment insurance, who's covered, who's eligible. One of the very, I think, good and interesting and new, different than past recessions, is the expansion of this of unemployment coverage to those who are these alternative gig self-employed workers who normally would not be eligible. That's very important. The addition of a $600 payment to everyone, at least in the short term, is very important too. It really, given the way unemployment insurance offices work, they're often kind of old and using legacy technology and all. It was a very fast, easier way for those offices to implement a bonus upgrade of income to people who really all of a sudden have no income. So in the short term, worrying about getting that, in addition, of course, the $1,200 checks that are being put out too. So all of these are really important efforts to get money to people's hands right away. I think that's the most important thing, other than, of course, people's health.
Right. And unfortunately, there's been some logistical issues in implementing that, as you mentioned, with some of our government bureaus having outdated systems and having to create a whole new system, as I understand it, to deal with the gig economy workers as well, and they're not going to receive checks until about 2 weeks from now. I think the last word that I heard on that one, which can cause a lot of pain and hardship for families who need the money now.
Yeah, definitely, and the long holds and not being able to get through, and even the agencies, and we work with a lot of the unemployment insurance agencies, not having to figure out what exactly are the federal government guidelines for providing that new pandemic unemployment insurance. But it's really important people don't give up. People go back and apply and get those benefits. That's really important. Of course, right now that's only it's only through June, and I think we all are hearing from the health experts that this could go a lot longer than that. And in addition, even when the economy opens up a bit, we know that the ramifications of this shutdown are going to roll on through the labor market for a much longer time. Businesses that go out of business and workers that lose their jobs, then not all those businesses are able to come back right away. And certainly some industries like entertainment, hospitality are going to be hit really hard for quite a long time.
Yeah, we have, as you know, my husband's a musician, and it's a real struggle for musicians in Portland and area. And we've always had a vibrant art scene with theater and music and other creative arts, and many of them were not only doing their art, they were also part of the gig economy, driving Lyft or Uber or some other job to make things meet, make the family budget. So it's been tough on that front, and art here in our area is such a great driver for the economy too, and I think that's one piece that gets missed when talking about artists in general. We sometimes think about the art piece, but we forget that it is an industry and it can be an economic driver.
And we're kind of thinking about this recession very differently than the last. It's not only so sudden, but you might call it a service recession, where people providing direct services are the ones who are getting on the front lines. Of course, it ripples through, but we are hearing from, you talk about artists, you know, people who teach music lessons, people who are personal trainers, people who run their own small business as a one person providing services, and those personal services that people are in touch with others may just not be around for a little while. They may be slow to come back.
And Mark, I will turn it over to you in just one moment there. Do you have thoughts on where things are today for the Teamsters issues that you're hearing from your membership related to how the related to this health crisis or the economic, you know, trying to do some form of economic recovery in the short term?
Boy, that falls a little out of beyond my jurisdiction.
Okay.
No, it does. But I will tell you, I spoke to the Joint Council president yesterday. I was trying to get a sense of how, the percentage of our members who are out of work. And bear in mind, we have about 23,000 members. And this is just a guess on his part. He suspects that we've lost about 10% of our membership are out of work right now. But I would say, you know, I think that the calls we are getting from our members are primarily calls of concern for their safety, making sure that the employers recognize social distancing and protective gear if they need it. You know, we represent, for instance, we represent the paramedics at AMR who service Multnomah County, and in any situation where folks are, you know, need to work closely, it seems like most of the concerns are for personal safety. Naturally, we get concerns for folks who are losing work. We try to help them in terms of shifting them or recommending them to other jobs. For the short term, we give them advice on unemployment, naturally, that sort of thing. I mean, ironically, we are seeing, we represent folks in the food service industry, that is, folks who deliver to restaurants and bars and that sort of thing. And we also represent the grocery industry. And so we're seeing a spike in demand for folks who work in the grocery industry, and a huge drop off from the food service industry. And we're trying to fill the need from the grocery delivery, and we're trying to fill that need from the food service industry, that sort of thing. Naturally, it's the fear of unknown. Our members, you know, want to know how long this is going to last, and we do our best to work with the employers and try to maintain some benefits or some wages throughout this time. And we've successfully done that in some cases where we are protecting workers, at least their health benefits and that sort of thing. I will say at the very beginning, when the unemployment, the employment department's website all crashed because of all the claims, we had a lot of calls for assistance in finding access to the unemployment website. We helped them as much as we could there.
And I suspect that it gives your members comfort that they've got somebody to go to bat for them when they're having these issues during this time of uncertainty.
I think that gives them an extra layer of comfort, certainly. You know, that they have someone they can talk to and have a sympathetic ear and potentially some resources. I mean, we certainly, I mean, there's a national shortage of truck drivers, and so we have a lot of employers who have been looking for drivers, and so if there are industries that are still holding their own, where we are able to at least refer them to other companies that may that may be able to help them and give them employment.